Well, hello, my friends, and what a beautiful day it is here in eastern North Carolina, and welcome. Glad you've joined us again today. I want to talk again today about Hezekiah. Remember, there were 11 chapters that were attributed to his rule, and a great rule, great reign of Judah over Judah. He brought the people back to God, but after 14 years, he began to face a big trial, actually two big trials of his life. First of all, the Assyrians came against him. And we talked about that yesterday and how God strengthened him. But that same year, when you look at the timeline, that same year, the prophet Isaiah came to him and told him that he was going to die. He was going to die. And of course, he felt like he was, just getting started. Things were going well. And so he was facing a trial in his life. And he pleaded for God. And God came back to Isaiah and told him to tell Hezekiah, I'm going to give you 15 more years. There's a couple of scriptures I want to read. One of them is in Isaiah chapter 38, verse number 19. It says this, the living, this is after he was told he's going to live another 15 years. The living, he thanks you. As I do this day, the Father makes known to the children your faithfulness. In other words, and you read the previous verses and you'll see that he's saying when you're dead, you can't give praise to God. So I'm thankful, God, that you've given me these extra years so I can share this good news even to my children. However, something happened. We go over to 2 Chronicles, chapter number 32, and it says this. It says that he became proud. Here it is. He had very great riches and honor. Let me go back to verse 25 in chapter 32. But Hezekiah did not make return according to the benefit done to him, for his heart was proud. Therefore the wrath came upon him and Judah and Jerusalem. So in other words, he didn't fulfill the promise that he'd made to God. You know, there's a lot of times God does wonderful things for us. He never does anything without a purpose, by the way. He saves us, he heals us, he delivers us, he blesses us financially for a reason. And we should not take that for granted. And we go on and we can see in verse 26, it says he humbled himself. But the Bible tells us that he became proud during that extra 15 years. And when we read this, there's two things I want to draw from it. Number one, we cannot become careless and take advantage of God's blessings. And number two, we cannot be selfish, because when the prophet came back and told him that because of his sin and his prideful heart, that there would be judgment later on in his lineage. And he was like, oh, well, thank goodness. It's not coming in my day. It's going to come in a later day. And he was very glad of that. But friends, we've got to be careful of that. And remember, we're not just living for today. We're living for the future. We're living for our children. So Hezekiah, even though he had done such awesome works for God, he did not appreciate that extra 15 years. Now, he did humble himself. But during that 15 years, a son was born, and his name was Manasseh. He would be the next ruler. And when you read history, he was actually the most corrupt king Judah ever had. So we had from the most godly king that they had after Solomon, the most godly king they had, to the most corrupt king. And I often thought about that. I thought about that, God had mercy upon Hezekiah, gave him another 15 years, but he became proud. He did not take advantage of those blessings. And a son was born. And I wonder oftentimes of what happened. Why did he not teach his children, as it was written in Isaiah? Why didn't he instill that in his children? But anyway, it's important. Let's not be careless in the blessings that we have. Let's also think of the future, not just today. God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Bye-bye.